What's up, you guys? Thank you for clicking on this video. So as you can tell by the title, continuing my series of the TFW 2005 and Hasbro interview that went on during San Diego Comic-Con a few weeks ago. My extended coverage on these answers that Hasbro gave here. So I got a few questions and answers I'm going to go over in this video and give you guys my thoughts on everything. As always, speculate, discuss, whatever. So sit on back, grab a snack, and listen to me ramble. So first one here that I want to cover is, so TFW asks, would you be interested in doing alternate versions of the 13 after Age of the Primes, like recolors as exclusives or mainline items? Evan from Hasbro says, oh yes, I imagine so. Probably the next time we would do the 13 would be in Studio Series and doing the TF1 versions that popped up. Otherwise, you'd have to ask Mark on that one about what like the next step is for the 13 Primes and the Generations line. But who knows? I'm sure there's some fun stuff he's cooking up. And then a follow-up question to this TFW asks is, yeah, because a lot of people think about the Covenant of Primus, how some of them are different, and also like the Age of the Primes box art with the pure golden versions. And then Evan answers, we actually have joked about that, doing like an all gold, almost Golden Lagoon-like collection of them. It's definitely a possibility, and I do think Mark is actually looking into like the IDW appearance of Onyx Prime where he's blue and other things like that, so I think it's definitely possible. So let's break down some of what is being said here from Evans, shall we? So the Transformers 1 version is being done in Studio Series. So people have been theorizing for like the last year or so now that they're probably just going to either repaint or slightly retool the Age of the Primes molds into the Transformers 1 incarnations of the characters and release them under Studio Series for Transformers 1. And it seems like that's kind of what he's alluding to here. But I don't know, they could get new molds, they could not. It seems like they're really just leaving it up for interpretation right now until we inevitably do get the 13 from TF1. But if I had to guess, just with how the answer is kind of worded here, I think they're just going to either recolor or slightly retool some of the Age of the Primes molds into what we saw in TF1 for the Studio Series releases. Now that could be cool. But I definitely do feel like there's going to be multiple reuses and recolors and retools even for other characters that don't involve the 13 Primes potentially for these new molds, because Hasbro isn't just going to spend all this damn money on new molds for all the 13 Primes over the next year and a half, and they're not going to get reused at all, not even for repaints as exclusives or gen selects and stuff, you know. So there's definitely going to be more to come with these 13 Prime molds. And IDW Onyx Prime that he specifically mentions here that Mark is looking into is pretty cool to hear, because he was kind of like a main Prime character in certain IDW appearances, and seeing that they kind of took from his IDW look a little bit in terms of the design, I definitely do feel like a blue version would definitely make a lot of sense as like a Gen Selects repaint or exclusives subline repaint. And it's really interesting that he mentioned that out of all the other stuff that they could do with the 13 Prime. So I definitely do think a Blue Onyx Prime is coming sooner rather than later, just based off of how he's talking here. And the other question that I wanted to cover here is, so TFW asks, since the Shattered Glass line, there's been new molds of a lot of those characters, are you interested in doing updated versions such as 86 Prime and his Shattered Glass deco? Evan from Hasbro answers, yes, everybody has asked about that in Nemesis and a White Ultra Magnus version. I'll just say everybody loves that mold, so we will make sure to get out there in every color we can get it out in. So this really isn't surprising, but what is surprising is that he basically says yes here. He says yes, you know? So at some point, Shattered Glass, Nemesis, White Ultra Magnus, it seems like a no-brainer. I mean, they put all this into the 86 Optimus mold. I think this is going to be the G1 Generations Optimus going forward for at least maybe around 10 years, I'd say. I don't think we're going to see another new mold G1 Prime until the 2030s. So that gives a lot of time for them to re-release the 86 mold in general, or just flat out recolor or retool him to death, you know? And I definitely do think Hasbro is going to do that, because they put so much into that new 86 Optimus mold. So I'm definitely expecting the repaints. They're going to start to come in maybe next year, or hell, maybe even later on this year, some release that we don't know about, because we didn't know about that random weird $600 Optimus. So it seems like they're starting to rev up the repaints for this 86 mold, which I am all for, because it would be kind of cool to see it in all these different decos and iterations and color schemes over the years from eras and stories. So bring it on. And the last question and answer that I want to cover here in this video. So TFW asks Hasbro, so the Cyberworld show is obviously aimed at kids, but do you think there are any plans for other shows aimed more at older fans or adults? And Evan from Hasbro answers, yes, we do talk about that quite frequently. We're hoping that we have something in the works in the future. I've very much been enjoying Cyberworld, though, because it's meant to be watched with families and stuff like that. But yeah, we're also hoping that sometime in the future we can get an animated series that's targeting more of the older fan base. So we have heard rumors and rumblings of a new Skybound-centered show in development. So I think he might be alluding to that, because, you know, he says yes, that they do want to do something like this. Obviously, he's not going to say, oh, we have a new show in development from the Skybound comics. He's not going to say that, but I feel like he does probably know that show's in development. They could be working on a separate subline for it or something coming out next year or 2027, because we know Hasbro plans stuff years in advance, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But we should definitely be hearing more word on that rumored, more adult, possibly Skybound show coming at some point soon. I definitely do feel like later on this year, maybe early next year, the ball could get rolling on that, because I don't think that report wasn't true. It came from very reputable sources, so I don't think that would just go away or be made up. But we're gonna have to wait and see. Me personally, this is something that I've been advocating for here on the channel for years now, and you know, this is something that I think Transformers needs to naturally move into more as the world changes, because, you know, adults are more of the market here for this stuff, and kids are moving more into different things, technology-based stuff and video games and whatever. So I think this is going to be a natural move going forward, even more so as the years go on, and more of the cartoony kids stuff is going to be more YouTube based, and then the more adult based, higher budget stuff is going to be either on streaming services or on cable TV of some sort. So I think this is going to be the future of new Transformers cartoon media, focusing more on adult based stuff and leaving the kids cartoons lower budget and probably YouTube only going forward, which makes sense, because, you know, the last couple kids shows haven't been doing too hot. And again, the world is changing with how kids react to cartoons and technology and toys and everything. So I'm excited to see Hasbro finally take a more serious turn in the lore and media that we get from Transformers, because if the Skybound comic is any indication, then we're in store for a lot more of a I wouldn't say grounded, but like an adult take on what this franchise is, you know. But yeah, guys, that's all I wanted to cover here in this video. Let me know down in the comments below, how do y'all feel about the answers that Evan from Hasbro gave here? A lot of stuff to get excited about and speculate on that he basically outright confirms or says that we want to do at some point that could be in the pipeline. So a lot of exciting things here. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching this video. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye.